I'm trying to go live. Here we go. Okay, we are live. Let's give them a little. Hey, everybody, welcome back. My name is Deborah Peters, and welcome to the Deborah Peters Show. As you can see, I'm a little behind schedule today and a little flustered. Nothing went according to plan, so what are you going to do? You just got to roll with it. This is a show that is all about consciousness. Consciousness means self-awareness, your connection to your creator, and your knowledge that you are responsible for everything that you create in your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so with that awareness, you can change anything. You can make more of the good, you can release the ugly, and you can forget the bad. So that's what this show is all about. And it addresses the five major topics of your life: your health, your wealth, your relationships, your business, and your self-expression. Now, typically it would just be those four pillars. I added business because business is what puts food on the table. Until we get to that place where we can think it and it pops and it just like Harry Potter shows up, we have to figure out a way to make an exchange with the marketplace, and that's called business. So I added business as a topic to this podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest, and this is part of a series. So today is the first part. We're digging into a couple of really fundamental pillars in this world that make or break your life. And they both revolve around money. I've always had a sort of a circumspect kind of pondering about the insurance industry, wondering what's that all about, because there's a lot of people that really know how to use it to their advantage. And then there's other people that think it's just a way of paying for their death. So I asked Bernard if he would join me today and we could do this series and we could get into the conversation around money, where you put your money, whether that's in the banking system or the bank of your family. So Bernard, thank you so much for being here today. It's thank you for your patience in waiting for me to reboot till we finally had to go to a different device. And so here we are.
I appreciate it, Deborah. You know, it's honest to be it's an honor to be on your show. So I'm really excited about what we have to be even talking to people about. Because
absolutely.
As we were talking before we came on, there's a financial tsunami going to be hitting shore. And it's
absolutely
coming. And you can see and it's what I refer to as you can see that wave coming, but what are we doing to avoid it? And that's what we need to do.
I think, I mean, if we were to, spend a minute and maybe unpack the layers of that, I'm not sure how many people actually accept that this is happening. I've been in the mortgage industry since like 2000 as a coach, never been a broker, never turned a loan, but I've coached a lot of the big wholesale lenders, the big bankers at the C-suite level and at the board level. And so there's been a lot of conversation since we healed from 2008. So right around 2014, 2015, a conversation started coming forward that we were going to see a turn in the real estate market. And that hasn't really happened. I mean, now it's slower, but if you talk to any veteran real estate agent, they'll tell you that this is kind of normal. The way it was before, where people were walking in with a boatload of cash and offering money over and above the listing price, probably isn't really, sustainable, obviously. So here we are now, and we've been talking about this for 8 years, and it still hasn't happened. So I'm not really sure how many people actually believe it's a thing.
Yeah, but any of the issues that you're seeing right now with the inflation going up, the interest rates now climbing, the take a look at your interest rate in a savings account in the bank too. That hasn't climbed. I've looked at that on numerous occasions. So you're not getting anything for what you're doing, but we're paying for a lot of stuff. So when the government did decide to print that free money, as you would call it, because the government, they don't make money. They make money off of taxes. That's it.
That's
So
right.
for them to print, somebody's paying that back. And now it's everybody.
It's us. Yeah.
But however, the wealth gap is getting bigger in this country when this is happening.
Yeah. It's starting to function like a third world country.
And
So, sorry.
no, you're fine.
So what I really want to do in this series is really unpack, first of all, the concept of money. We have to have money to live and function. I used to do this course. I actually am creating it now as an online program we're getting ready to launch. But I used to run it live, and I called it the Shift, Change, and Heal Your Money Story, which really gets into the psychology of your programming from childhood around your relationship with money. And so that we could, there's that to it. First of all, there's that, right? There's this like all these limiting beliefs and just programs and conditions around how hard it is to attain money through your ideas and through your creativity and through your business. But we're off to set that aside for a moment because that's like a whole rabbit hole. Where I want you to take us is, once we have the money in hand, where should we put it? Because it seems to me a little precarious. I mean, I'm reading all sorts of stuff, don't keep any cash on hand. It'll be devalued. It won't be worth the paper it's written on. There's a lot of conversation. What's real?
And when you're talking about what's real, that's why I refer to the matrix. Okay, because what we believe how wealth is created is the matrix. What happens in the real world, that's where all the wealth is created. So just going to pause you for a second. So matrix being a facade that we've been told and we've accepted. Absolutely. I mean, it's not a computer generated world like the movie The Matrix. However, it's not real. That's not the way.
And so the real world is where the wealthy function with their money.
5% of the population.
Okay. All right. This is good. This is really good because
and it's spooky though too when you think about 5% of the population controls 95% of the wealth.
Yeah.
But 95% of the population are in the matrix, and that's only 5% of the wealth.
Well, yeah, because the idea is that we're taught and we're typically accept, because that's what we see around us, is that we should go to school, get a degree, get a job, save up money, buy a house. Like it's a very linear process of
put yourself further in debt, isn't that? I mean, everything you're saying is just further and further in debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Been down that
and
road.
You have no freedom, because the more you go down that path, the less free time you have. And so the less free time you have, the less creativity you can express. I've done a lot of study into sort of like our captains of industry and our founding fathers and the guys that ran the railroad and the oil and everything from sort of like the beginning, if you can even, I don't even know these days, but let's just say that's all true. So they created empires, right? And, if you look at Napoleon Hill's book, when he wrote that manuscript, Ford's wife, so there was like this whole group, there was Carnegie, Rockefeller, Chase, Ford. Ford was the youngest, and he was building cars like crazy. And it was like a sweatshop, it was like not a healthy environment. And people were making a pittance. So Ford's wife gets a hold of the manuscript, Think and Grow Rich, which was to become Think and Grow Rich. And she edits out all the stuff that makes the difference. And the stuff in there that makes the difference is talking about energy. It's talking about vibration. It's not talking about work yourself to death for someone else and build someone else's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that was edited out was because they were afraid, she was afraid that if their factory workers discovered their power, they'd quit. And it seems to me that what's happening now in the world is all of this is coming to the surface. And then for you, you just confirmed it when you said, you know, the matrix is this thing over here, which is what I described about the factory workers and the linear concept of how to get through life. And then reality is over here, which is vibration. It's energy. It's using your mind to create with. So I'm sure everybody's going, yeah, but how does that become money?
Well, what you're saying is 110% right. And, you know, I refer to, you know, the school system, nothing against, dumbs us down. It's I have an accounting degree, and I don't know, nobody really knows. Those that know me, but the ones that don't, I'm a former chef. So I tell people, if I could learn this stuff, so can everybody else. Now, I went to college and I have an accounting degree. I had financial courses. What I'm going to talk about has nothing to do with what they teach you in school of how to build wealth. Wealth is just like you said. It's not going out there and getting a degree, putting yourselves in debt, working 40 years of your life, you know, cross your fingers, you're going to be able to even get a position in what you studied. And I look at resumes on a regular basis, and it's kind of sad. You know, there's master's degree and all that stuff. And a lot of these people never even worked in what they studied.
Right. You know, what's interesting, I had this awareness recently. You know, I've been remote working across the nation, right? I've been in like 12 states since the end of May.
But never left your house.
No, physically. For real.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely a gypsy right now. And that's why there's an echo in here, because I moved into an unfurnished house last night at midnight. It's like, okay, I best go buy furniture or have it shipped out of Cali. I haven't decided yet. But the thing is that as I've been driving, because it's a really creative space, you know, when you're driving thousands of miles by yourself, you create a lot with your mind. And I like to do that. I like to use my mind to create what I want instead of thinking about all the negative stuff and creating what I don't want.
Sure.
I had several epiphanies, and one of them was my schooling. I had a real challenge in school. School was hard for me. It was hard for me in so many different ways. And there were subjects that I thrived in and excelled. And then there were other subjects that I just could not grasp. And when you balance that out, it didn't make for a good, you know, grade average, right? And so I left early. You know, I left early. I went back and finished as an adult, but I left early. And as I see all of this unfolding right now, I think it was like a protection. Like somehow I knew, you know, my inner being, my unconscious mind, whatever, I knew that if I stuck with that programming, I would be stuck. Like a lot of people, because I did want to go to university. I wanted to become a teacher. Well, I am a teacher, but I'm not in a system teaching.
Absolutely.
I'm my system. I teach my curriculum. This is my system. And people that resonate with that come, and people that don't. And it's cool. I don't have anybody standing over me saying, you can't teach that. You can't teach it this way. You can't say these words. You have to teach this curriculum. I really dodged a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of people that aren't.
I know.
And that's why, you know, and because per our conversation we had before, if we could change the cause, we could change the effect.
That's right.
Very important to do. So
it is.
The more people we can help there will understand how things are later. Now, once again, remember I was telling you, I went, of course, I played sports. I picked accounting. It's not exactly what I wanted to do. Remember, I was a chef. I had a pastry degree, accounting, or culinary degree. So what we're trying to do now is just, wealth is not created by going out and working your butt off in all those different areas like that. Now, the school system, do you need trigonometry? Not, it just depends what you're doing. No, you really don't. Wealth has nothing to do with, the knowledge of what they're teaching. Yes, we have to learn how to read. We have to learn how to write. That's all part of the systems and everything that we're doing. But just learning how to make mistakes, learning how to get better, learning how to move forward. When you were talking about, the mind is powerful. Yeah. You could look at a negative side. You could look at it as a positive side. If you focus on the positive side, things are going to happen. You believe it's going to happen, it will happen. And that's just,
that's the work. You see, it's like, all of my I coach CEOs of mid-sized companies, and all of my CEOs think that it's about strategy and it's about the right people working for them and how hard everybody works. And they're having a really big wake-up call right now because they're realizing what's on that resume is not who they're getting, number one, because who they're getting is energy, vibration, psychosis, that's who you're getting. And then is that person aligned? That's a whole other conversation. But what they're really starting to figure out, at least the ones I'm coaching, is that it's all about the use of the mind. And see, this is what our founding fathers knew. When they got together and they had their masterminds, they masterminded with energy. They played with energy. They used energy to build their empires. And then granted, they had a workforce, and that workforce didn't have the knowledge they had. The workforce thought getting ahead in life was workforce, right? The masterminders were the founding fathers, were the captains of industry, and they still exist today. Mm-hmm. They just, have sexier technology. But you know what I'm saying to you? It's like, that's the divide. That's the divide. And it's becoming more and more glaringly obvious every single day who drank the Kool-Aid of suffer and struggle and money's hard to come by and I'm not worthy. Mm-hmm. And who actually grasped that it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you have. It's how you run your mind, and your mind is energy.
Absolutely. And your mind can change everything, every single position you're in. Now, Warren Buffett, he did say, and when I'm referring to the ultra wealthy, we could all be, you don't have to be ultra wealthy, but we all could have that same mindset that could move us out of the matrix and put us into the real world. We're not going to be we don't need to have all that money. We just need to have more coming in than we have going out. We need to protect our hard-earned cash for every single thing we're doing. So when he said, if the poor would just do what the rich would do, they wouldn't be poor.
But there's a narrative in society that that's your lot in life. And there's a religious narrative that you have to beg God for it.
I don't know if I go down that road, but I know what you're saying.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
No, but I'm saying, but you're right. You can make the change. Just because you're born into that doesn't mean you need to end up that way.
Exactly.
However, the school system won't let you out.
Well, no, because it's a moneymaker.
Absolutely.
And not just from tuition. School is not necessarily just a moneymaker from tuition. It's a programming tool to form society into a nice, tied up, neat little box of belief systems.
And I call it herding like cattle, keeping us right down that trough and keeping us right down that road.
That's why I'm telling you, I dodged a bullet.
So when you were talking about that, I talked the red pill and the blue pill. And I said, guys, which one do you want to take? Come on, you can come, like you said, you can come down a rabbit hole with me and I'll show you how deep it really goes. Now it's a lot deeper than I know right now. It's even further than that. But
it's like a black hole.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, it really is when you go really deep into it. However, just the minor things can get us out of it. And that's
Yeah.
just educational part. That's all it is.
Right. And
but you're not schooling education.
No.
Learning
Self-education.
education.
Yeah.
Yes.
And learning from your heart, not from your ego.
Absolutely.
Because your ego will tell you to play it safe. Your heart will guide you toward your greatest adventure.
It's called
your
faith.
Greatest wealth. It is called faith. You know, one of those tools is the last 5 minutes before you fall asleep at night. If at the last 5 minutes before you fall asleep at night, you actually dial in your experience that you desire through feeling. So you live the life as if it's already happening. You live your future life as if it's already happening with the feeling that would give you to be that person.
Absolutely.
If you do that, listeners, for 5 minutes before bed, and come back to me in 21 days and tell me what your life looks like, we'll have a whole different conversation. Because
they're going to also have to unplug from that TV set too. That's going to sit there and cause them to watch some horror movies and stuff, because sometimes that's too much on your mind when you go to bed too. It's a whole different change on, just the way the wealthy live compared to the way everybody else lives. All it is a mindset. I talked the other day on my live Facebook.
Amazing.
That there's 1.7 million new, millionaires that just came into play. Now that's pretty much the population, but 80% of those are first generation. All it is a mindset to get to that level. I'm not telling everybody needs to be a millionaire, but it's a mindset. That's it. It's not the work ethic. It's what they know they need to do to be able to get to the next level. Yes. And they're relentless at what they do. They don't take no. There is no negative side. There's no scarcity mindset. It's all abundance. It's all about putting it out there, believing they can do it, and they're going to do it.
See, most people that I talk to won't do the work because it's too simple. And they think it has to be harder than that. So the only way for this to really gain traction in the masses is maybe for us to put out a challenge that they actually do that exercise, that 5-minute exercise before bed.
Sure.
For 21 days, and then prove it to themselves. But you got to want it. I stayed at this Airbnb yesterday up in the Blue Ridge Mountains for the weekend, and the lady and her husband that had the property is absolutely gorgeous. They have like 2 acres of wooded mountain, like acre lot, and they built an Airbnb above their garage, and I just was like in heaven because the energy is so good. There's a lot of hills. So I was out power walking a couple times a day, burning some calories. And so the lady that has the Airbnb came with me, and, she's like, oh my God, this is like, she goes, I walk, but nothing like this. And I went, honey, if you want a body that you like, you have to be disciplined. So if you want a life that you like, you have to be disciplined. And before you fall asleep, you're thinking about something. You're thinking about what went wrong today. You're thinking about the argument you had with someone, how, you have a bill you can't pay, or you're thinking about tomorrow's problem or fear, or maybe the news that you watched. And all of that is creation. All of that is creation. And so if your life starts to look negative in different areas, like the 5 areas we talked about, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your business, your self-expression, you got to change what you're focusing on. It's really that simple. Absolutely. But you see, it's so simple.
Except this makes it so hard. And that's all it is your mind. Your mind makes it hard. What is fear? And this is everything I had to do to get out of the matrix. So that's why I tell people, if I can do this, anybody can do this. But it is a total mindset switch.
It is.
It's not understanding that a book is going to get you to the next level.
Yeah.
Discipline, like you said.
And it's consistent desire. You have to want it. Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's hard. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not hard. I've had to, like, literally, I mean, I was a single mom when I was 15. I was a single parent. I somehow managed to circle back and finish school. I had financial issues for years, just years of suffering financially, because had a child to feed, and it was like, it was difficult. It was really difficult. And I was homeless for 3 years. Like, I've had to run these tools in my own life to even be able to talk about it and tell other people that they work.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you they work. You can think yourself obese, you can think yourself slim, you can think yourself unhealthy, poverty, lonely, unloved, whatever you want to think yourself into and feel
Mm-hmm.
yourself into. It's like wherever you're putting that attention. But that comes back to earlier when we were talking about how there's like this matrix of, I call it like drinking the Kool-Aid of lack and limitation and loss and poverty and a finiteness about us when actually we're infinite. And that's a game changer right there,
Mm-hmm.
because so many people put such a huge emphasis on biological age. And we have this social construct that says, by this age, you should look like this physically. You should live in this place. You should have this much money in the bank.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And then at this age, your body should be functioning like this, and da 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 da, and on it goes at every sort of milestone marker. And none of that is true either.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to age if you don't focus on aging.
Sure. I tell people, and anyhow, age is here. This is the car we got to drive. And then, eventually your car is going to get a little older and stuff like that, but you keep it in shape and you believe in all this stuff. But as long as you keep the mind young, be young.
And you can always just get a new car.
So yeah, I got new shocks. So yeah, you could always get new body parts. Absolutely. Now use an example. I had a husband and wife came in here one day into my office, and they had two little young ones, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, girl and a boy. And I asked him, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And I asked the girl, she goes, I want to be a princess. I said, where do you want to live? She goes, I want to live in this huge castle. I said, describe it to me. She goes, it's going to be white and all these things and the trees around it and the moats. And she went off for a good, almost 10 minutes. So I looked at the little boy. I said, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to be a fireman. I said, well, what's your fire truck look like? And he was talking about it. He got the big ladder and all that stuff like that. And the energy they had was incredible. So I looked at the mom and dad. I said, you need to stop that. They said, what are you talking about? I said, don't let them dream like that. They said, why? I said, because you stopped. Why are our dreams getting smaller as we get older? Why are they so good when they're young? We can have the same dreams. Keep them big. My company's called Be Big. Be big, man. Take it to the next level. But that's what I was telling you, just the way the society traps us into that bubble.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
It's true. I was out hiking in probably the beginning of March. And, the last few months before my birthday, which was at the end of July, I always sort of take stock of my life and ask myself some questions about, are you getting where you want to be? Are you experiencing what you want to experience, et cetera, et cetera? And I had this huge awakening when I was out on the hiking trail that this can't be all there is. And I always talk out loud when I'm having a big conversation with my creator, the universe, God. And I said, okay, so this isn't it. I acknowledge that. And you know what I want, because I've already mapped it out. What's the how? Show me the how. And see, this is where people usually get stuck, is if they don't know how, they don't think they can.
Right.
But it's really not, how doesn't matter. You just have to be clear on what it is and get into the feeling of it. The feeling, the feeling, the feeling. It is the feeling. Mm-hmm. If I haven't said it enough already, it's the feeling. And so as I was out there on the trail, it's about a 10-mile hike, I was rolling my my ideal life around in my mind. And what does this feel like? And what does that feel like? And it just became more and more and more and more and more clear that I was not ever going to have it where I was. And I was living in a beautiful place. I was living in Newport Beach, California.
Sure.
I was like a 4-minute walk from the bluffs to the ocean. It doesn't get much better than that. I could sit on my balcony at night and watch the sunset over the Pacific. But it wasn't, see, that's the ego. The ego would justify.
Yes.
But Deborah, this is beautiful. You've arrived. You finally got here. Look at these amazing people. Like every other car that drives by is a Porsche or, you know, or a Bugatti or a Bentley. I mean, there was this baby blue Bentley drove by my house 3 times a day. But my ego was not in tune with my spirit.
Sure.
And I got a very clear message. This isn't it, girl. This is a launching off pad. Mm-hmm. So at the end of May, I packed everything into storage and I decided to work remotely and let it come to me.
Sure.
Instead of chasing some dream, I let it come to me. And I trust my inner being to guide me where I'm supposed to go. And then just out of like the ethers, out of that energy came phone calls and emails and messages from LinkedIn and different people companies reaching out to me and saying, can you come here and do this for our leadership? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's really an unfolding instead of this white knuckling, fear, scarcity. I got to get something and like hunker down in this one spot to feel safe.
Mm-hmm. And just because you have more doesn't mean that you're successful at the same time too, because like exactly. I said, totally different what you were talking about. There's a lot of really, really wealthy people out there that just have money, but they're in that same position that you were talking about. It's not about how much money you have. It's about what you can do. And if you believe, and I always tell people, if you believe you could walk on water, you will walk on water, but you have to believe you can walk on water.
I know.
There's a book I read, Power of the Subconscious Mind. So it's really strong about belief factors and what you can do. I switched into studying Tibetan Buddhist teachings, not because of the religional part, just because of the mind.
Sure.
And putting yourselves in that empty space, because everything that's happening around you is just what's happening around you. It's nothing more.
And it's not you.
No.
See, people think, sorry, go.
No, I was moving back into Dr. Strange, just, the Avenger thing. When he hits and that separates the body from the spirit, that's what we need to do to ourselves sometimes too, because we're really not existing in that space.
I know. When I run seminars, I used to open, because I used to teach neurolinguistic programming certification programs. I was practitioner, master practitioner, and trainers training. So they were long, like practitioners was 9 days, master prac was 12, and trainers training was 21 days. So it's a lot of time playing around in your energy and your unconscious mind and tapping into your brilliance. And the question I would always ask at the beginning of every seminar was, are you willing to trade your life for your goals? And, some people would just get downright mad at me for that. And I was very serious, because you can't keep being who you're being and get to that next level of acquisition, whatever that is for you. You have to be willing, to your point, you have to be willing to tap into you and connect to what it is you want instead of connecting to what you don't want.
Sure.
I have a couple comments here. So Laurel Brown, must be a friend of yours, getting ready for B. Barchie. Is it Barchie or Barchie? Barchie. What nationality are you?
Croatian and Slovakian, both in those areas. So
there you go. And then we have a comment from Chris Bacco saying, George Carlin and former Bolivian President Evo Morales put it best. The U.S. economy and government want obedient workers and passive consumers. Wasn't that what every country wants?
Sure.
right?
And it's up to us to change it.
Yeah. Stop consuming. And consuming isn't just stuff. Consuming isn't just food and beverages. It's what you think. It's who you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
It's the environment you circle yourself with. Consumption is everything.
And that
So,
keeps,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say that keeps the ultra wealthy ultra wealthy.
It really does.
But remember when I was telling you about those techniques that they use? It's not about them being ultra wealthy. It's about them not losing money. And that's the reason why the wealth gap in this country is getting so much bigger, is because they know how not to lose money while we are consumers. So buy a car, you have cash. Oh my God. And I did one of my live Facebooks was, how do you buy a Lamborghini? You got wealthy and then you got ultra wealthy. Now the wealthy have the cash to go pay for it. I'm not putting myself in debt. So you're exchanging money for a car. But the ultra wealthy are going to lock it into an insurance policy first to capture it. Then they're going to use insurance companies' money to invest it. That builds passive income. And then they're going to use that money to purchase the vehicle. And they're going to get it financed because, they're going to get 0%. They're going to work on 0% interest. They're going to now pay that car company with passive income, use the extra passive income, put it into an insurance policy, and just fatten the piggy up is what I call it. And then the more they keep using that strategy, it's rinse and repeat. Once that car is paid off in 5 years, all that money is locked into an insurance policy for them to do it again. And then, but they're constantly investing more in assets. And that's where the wealth gets bigger. Because when 2008 hit, a lot of people got destroyed. However, they did not. They took advantage of that.
They did.
But they ended up, they bought more assets to build more net worth. All it is it's just a strategy. It's how they do things. It's not about how much money. It's about what you do with it and how you protect it and how you use it. That's why the biggest beast out there is the money machine, which is the insurance that we were talking about before. You don't need to die to use this thing.
So exactly where we want to go, right? So we started late. So I figure I always want to give 45 minutes. So that gives us we've got about 5 minutes left. And I think we should use this time to, since you've opened that can of worms.
It's just the machine is incredible.
To start in that direction. So we're talking about insurance. Are we talking about life insurance? What are we talking about?
Only vehicle you can do to protect your money
is life insurance.
Life insurance. It's the only vehicle out there. There's nothing else you can do.
So should everybody run out and buy a life insurance policy?
After I get done talking, absolutely. Because what you're doing is you're opening a bank. You got to use a different mindset. This is what we're talking about. It's not what you believe. It's the matrix. The real world uses life insurance. Banks use life insurance. Corporations use life insurance. The upper 5% use life insurance. They don't buy life insurance. They purchase it for one reason.
What do you mean they don't buy life insurance?
Well, here's the thing is they don't purchase it for what we call life insurance. They don't buy life insurance to die. They buy it because insurance in general, if you had to pick one word, protection. All insurances. It's protection. Just in case something happens, I'm protected. Well, to utilize life insurance, there is protection, but you're protecting money, your hard-earned cash. You don't want to lose your hard-earned cash. They use this strategy to its fullest capacity. They now turn into a banking system and they now utilize leverage. And for you to make money is not to use your own money. You work hard for that. Let's recapture it. And then lock it into an insurance policy first. The goal is to get 100% of your income into this, because guess who cannot touch life insurance? The ones we want to run from, the government.
Wow. Really?
That's why banks use it to its fullest capacity.
So it works like a trust.
Oh, yeah, but even better, because remember, you also get a death benefit built into it. You get the life insurance thing and all that behind, but you get the leverage. And now a trust, you can't leverage all that. But it is what I call the dome over Wakanda. So you're using that little dome to protect your money. Now, when you give your money to the bank, and we've talked about that, who protects the money, the bank or the government?
Say that again, because I was looking at a comment.
The government. See, Goddess did that. And I like Goddess.
Good timing, right?
But the government protects your money, not the bank, but we give our money to the banks. Now, how do the banks even make money? They use our money to make money. They don't even have anything. They're Uber and Lyft. They're the biggest car company out there, except they leverage money. So we give it to them. They don't guarantee the safety, the government does, but they're going to lock money into life insurance. The banks have, and if you look on their records, because it's public, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Chase, the number one asset on their P&L statement is insurance. Number two is real estate. They lock more money into life insurance because it's protection. And guess, Goddess, I'm going to ask you, guess who they get to protect it from? Let's see if she puts that out there. Because now they're using it for protection, but they're protecting it from, she already has the answer right there anyhow. So the government again, so we give our money to the banks. Banks don't protect it. The government does, but the banks are going to use our money, lock it into insurance to protect it from the government. It's a private contract.
So we could just, basically what you're saying is we could just put our money into insurance and not bother with the bank.
Absolutely. You can create your own bank. Now, the whole goal is to get 100% of your money into this stuff. Up until 1984, this is how slow our government is, the wealthy used it as a tax shelter. They didn't use it in the matrix. They didn't sell it that way. The wealthy put 100% of their income into this. When you buy life insurance, it's tax-free growth. That money you have in a savings account, 0.01%, is still taxable. So you make that 10 cents at the end of the year, there's still that's Laurel, modern whole life. I call it whole life on steroids. Okay. Cause it's the money machine. Now you want to, if you can start younger, oh my God, your wealth that you would have by later is outrageous. Pay your debt down using this stuff. You are the bank. Banks open more branches when they make more money. And then as they make more money, they keep the cap on the insurance. It's 25% of the value of the company. So they load it up to its fullest capacity. Bank's going to lend you money. They're going to charge you, what, 8%, 10%, 15, 20%, but you got to qualify for that money too. But they borrowed from the insurance company to lend you. Yes. Now they're going to pay the insurance company 3.76% simple interest, but they're going to charge you 14 to 18, 20%. And that's tax-free money that they're using. They're leveraging insurance companies' money to lend to you. I mean, it's really deep. It's a whole, that's what I'm saying. It's the blue pill or the red pill. It's like, oh my God, forget what you really believe how money's created. We work hard. Let's not lose our money. What's that?
This is fascinating. So what a great cliffhanger for people for our next episode.
Yeah. And it's like I said, we're going deeper down the rabbit hole too. That's only the beginning. If we can eliminate the banking system, all that control is back in our favor.
It is.
And I'll show you other ways to do it.
That's exciting. Okay. So when are you back on with me again? I have such a crazy calendar.
Yeah, you do. And I'm going to switch my glasses because I got it written on my wall over there. So we're back on. You don't have anything in September. I think it's, I have the 18th of October, but we have a time in September, right?
We do. And if we don't, I'm going to create one. So yeah, because we need to get into this. Yeah. So the bottom line is this, kind of like this is what we want to leave people with, is that you can keep your own money and
still use it, but never lose
it. But never lose it. And not have to be in fear if they devalue the dollar. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It's recession proof.
Oh my God.
There's a book out there called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Get it? All their money was locked into insurance.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's Harry Potter. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that is brilliant. Wow. Boy, just like, I hope everybody out there is reeling as much as I am. This is really exciting.
If I can do this, anybody can do this. This is what I used to be a chef, guys. All that we got to do is know what they do.
That's right.
And it's a mindset change.
I've always been this way in terms of studying. the wealthy and like the high net worth and the ultra high net worth. And I know they get a lot of criticism, especially when times are hard. You know, everybody wants to tear down the one percenters. And I have clients that are those people. And I've worked with multimillionaires. I've worked with billionaires. I've had lunch with my billionaire clients on their yachts in Port Hercule and Monaco. I mean, I've been around a lot of money people, and I kind of feel sort of bad for them in some sense, where they're not bad people. Mm-hmm. You know, some of these, I wouldn't work with anybody that's not, let's just say that, but the ones I've worked with are the kindest, most generative, most, you know, they want to help people, they want to give back, and they do. So it's not that they're bad people, they just learned how to leverage their money. They stepped outside of that program that you're calling the Matrix, and they learned how to work with money. And I'm sure they had to scale their belief system to accept the rewards that come from that.
Well, money works for them. That's the thing.
Yeah, as it should.
Absolutely. All of us can do it.
I know. It should never be anything we chase. It should not be dirty or evil. Mm-hmm. All of that is a lie. That's another thing. You know, it's like we're taught these programs that money's the root of all evil. Money's dirty. People that have money cheat. All of these lies. I never bought into any of that. In fact, I always thought it was kind of like my grandmother used to say these negative comments about people that lived in the city. We were farm people, and she would make comments about these dirty crooks that lived in the city. And there was a thing in me as a little child that just didn't accept that. I'm just like, there's something off. I love my granny, but there's something off here. And I came to realize that they just had a different relationship with money. So we can all have a different relationship with money, and money is a tool. And whatever vibration you put forward is what you'll allow. It's the money you'll allow to flow into your existence. And I can help you with that. And then Bernard, you can show them what to do with it when it starts flowing in, so they keep it.
And I say what you just said. I tell people to arigato your money. Appreciate your money. Appreciate it coming out. More is going to come back.
Love it.
Do not if you got to pay for something, don't sit there and say, oh my God, it cost that much.
Bless it.
Pay for it. And then when you pay for it, appreciate paying for it.
Exactly.
Because now you got something. So appreciate that. And money's going to come to you. And it's just going to happen. But it's the belief. If you believe you can walk on water, you will walk on water. If you don't believe, you're going to sink. So the same thing with this mindset that we're talking about.
It's true. And then we're going to say goodbye because we're over time. But so I was sitting at the bar in this cute little restaurant in a town called Blue Ridge in Georgia, up in the mountains. And I was sitting next to these two guys that were on vacation, and we were talking about money and the economy. And the one guy was saying he was super frugal. So just for fun, I ran a business idea past them to see what kind of response I would get. Now, these guys are brothers. They were twins. And the one, before I even got the whole idea out of my mouth, was like, oh, that's risky. I wouldn't do that. It's not a good idea. He didn't even hear me out. His brother next to him was like, well, tell me more. I mean, this is cool. This has merit. Mm-hmm. And it was just two completely different belief systems.
Absolutely.
Two completely different relationships with money, and two different feedback markers from, brothers, twins. Mm-hmm. And there, ladies and gentlemen, lies what holds you back or moves you forward. Is that right? There?
Going to one more book, The Millionaire Next Door. What you just said is exactly what that talks about. Same lifestyle, but mindset was different.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Isn't it fascinating?
Mm-hmm. And you see mind blown by Goddess.
I know, she loved it. Yeah. And thank you so much for being here today. And thanks to everybody that watched and tuned in and gave me some grace. I couldn't get my computer to boot up. I'm in a new place, and then I couldn't get the Wi-Fi, and then my computer crashed. And long story short, we started late. So thank you,
Yeah, but
everybody,
we're back
for
here. We're on.
your patience. Yeah. All right. I'm going to make sure we get an extra posting out about our next episode, and we're going to pick up with how to create your own family bank, preserve your money. Now, the last question I want to leave here is, if people are just starting, regardless what age they are, and we're in a crazy economy, we're in a recession, is this still viable?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you put any money in the bank, you can do this. We'll show you how.
Awesome.
And that's the whole idea. Stop losing our money. If I would have done this years ago, Deborah, nothing against it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm glad I'm where I am, because all that we're trying to do is educate people. If I can do this, so can anybody else. You just got to learn.
And I'm learning too. I mean, I've been putting a lot of focus on wealth creation and development last few years. And I'm always asking, the universe, God, to me, it's God. I'm always asking for guidance as to, what do I need to study? What do I need to learn? How do I expand my mind? Where are the new resources for this? And then you show up in my life. So
I was going to say, then we bump paths. Absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing. So
I know, it's so good. So good.
Awesome.
So thank you. What's your URL to your website?
BeBigFinancial.com. So it's BBIGFinancial.com. That's all it is. So be big, guys. That's the whole idea. The name of the thing means, Nike says just do it. Bernard says be big. Take it to the next level. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. That's quoting Robert Kiyosaki, so I can't steal that one from him.
That's right.
That's it.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love that book too. It's amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much.
I can send that PDF book on what would the Rockefellers do. So if anybody's interested in that,
send it.
You could send that to me.
Send it, and I'll make sure Margie puts it in the show notes.
Okay.
It'll be on every major podcast platform I'm on: Spotify, Rumble, SoundCloud, iTunes, all of it.
Get everybody to read it. Absolutely.
Everybody can read it. And that's your homework. That's your homework for the next.
Awesome.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
You too. All right. You have a blessed day, everybody.
Bye.
And remember, stay aligned, stay alert, and for God's sake, stay awake.